All right.
We only did one tonight.
Just one.
Because you had to sass Siri.
Yeah, we were struggling with the decision, and it came down to a coin flip. So I said, all right, hey, flip a coin, damn you. He said, I'm not responding to that. And then I very politely asked, and she must have been listening to the conversation. She was like, no, F you. Tails, you don't get to watch another episode. She didn't say that. I'm paraphrasing. But, yeah, she decided that we were done. So, just one rewatch tonight, which was Monster Movie, which is a fantastic episode.
One of those levity episodes.
Oh, yeah.
I love the levity episodes.
I think there were a couple of references to the overall plot, but...
Well, in season 4, I don't remember much of.
Yeah.
Excuse me, in regards to overall plot. Dean had just come back from the dead. That's when we meet Cass at the very beginning.
He was rehymenized. But yeah, so it's all in black and white. The whole thing is set up like a classic monster movie. They have first of all, fantastic music.
Did you use one of my oranges?
Probably.
Okay.
I only used a little bit.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Great sound design and music in that one. Just really recreates that 40s monster movie feel. It starts out with the credit sequence at the beginning, like an old movie.
Yeah. Casablanca, Wizard of Oz, It's a Wonderful Life, like that era, 30s, 40s. Mary. Soon.
Yeah.
Low-key looking forward to that. Not gonna lie.
I wonder if Tracks will ever do a classic like that. Well, they did Wizard of Oz, but... Mary!
Anyway.
Right.
Yeah, you know, when they start the movie with all of the credits, but it's like you don't see any action on the screen. It's just like in the sky or something.
Yeah, just B-roll kind of stuff. Establishing scenery shots with the moon and everything like that. Maybe the castle. I can't remember if they included that. But yeah. So it starts off with the vampire kill. Sam and Dean are investigating because they're like, hey, there might be a vampire here. Let's check it out. And it turns out to be one of those classic movie vampire neck bites with just the 2 holes.
Well, and let's backtrack a little bit, and they're talking in the car. And Sam is like, you know, it's the end of the world. The point is that not the end of the world, Sam. I mean, come on. But Sam...
Season 4, Sam. Get over yourself.
But Dean is all like, it feels good to have just, like, a normal monster. So it kind of goes to that monster of the week feel, but it's like calling itself out on it. But, like, you guys need a monster of a week. Like, everything can't be the overall plot.
Heavy-handed plot stuff. And honestly, season 4 was fantastic. Season 5, season 6 is when the episodes started getting more predominantly plot and season-based, I think.
Yeah.
They kept throwing those levity episodes in there, kind of a la Buffy. But, I mean, season 1 was almost entirely Monster of the Week. And then, well, again, they were kind of doing that Buffy thing where the first half of the season would almost be Monster of the Week, and then the second half of the season, they're like, okay, here's your villain.
The big bad and all that.
The big bad, yeah. So anyway, yeah, they had that conversation in the car, but then they go back, they're going to investigate a vampire kill, but the vampire bite doesn't fit what they know vampires to do.
Right. And even when you consider, like, your typical monster movie vampire, like, it's, the bite marks are like this, right?
Right, yeah. Like,
but this one was like this.
Right. So it was
wrong on 2 levels.
A bite that doesn't feasibly work. You know, if a vampire were to bite you, it would be coming at you from the side, like, you know, they're giving you a hickey. Comes at you like that. That's like biting into an apple to the extreme. Like,
yeah, and without the...
Right, without the lower. So, clearly it didn't make sense, and they're like, this is like a vampire fanboy, crazy person murder. This isn't us.
Not weird enough.
Not weird enough.
And then and then they had the werewolf, Wolfman, which that victim, he just needed to die.
Right, yeah. Rapey guy. If men don't do that often enough, it creates a medical condition. They get all built up. Dude, fuck you. But not
just,
literally.
Well, no, literally. Just hammer one out yourself. I don't condone that, but I'd rather you do that than, you know, guilt trip a girl into having sex with you. Like, fuck you, dude.
Get over yourself and get off yourself. Literally. But he got ripped to shreds. So, happy ending.
Yeah.
But then they were investigating that kill, and they said that it was real wolf hair?
Canine.
Okay.
So, but then between the vampire and the werewolf, you know, Dean was trying to hit on the bar wench, whatever, Jamie.
Right, okay, yeah.
And he had just talked to this Ed Brewer guy that saw the vampire attack, and nobody believed him because why would they? But I love how he, like, drank from his tankard.
This giant Stein tankard.
It's like Isaac. But the way he described the vampire was like, well, that's not, and that's when they kind of concluded, well, it's probably just some weird fanboy sort of thing. So
right,
she's like,
Ed Brewer was a witness to that kill.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's talking to Jamie, and he says, yeah, I'm probably not going to be around tomorrow. She's like, oh, case too weird for you? He's like, not weird enough. Okay. Then there was the werewolf kill, and Sam and Dean were talking, like, you know, what the hell is going on? And because they had just talked to the girl that had witnessed it, and she told them what she saw. And they're like, it was interesting because they obviously believe in vampires and werewolves. Like, they've come across them, they hunt them. But it was interesting because they believed the people, but they didn't really believe them because what they were describing didn't match what they actually are.
Right.
So it was this weird thing of like, well,
you're not wrong because you're saying it's a werewolf. You're wrong for another reason.
You're wrong because that's not a werewolf.
Right.
It's not a vampire.
I know what those things are. They do exist, but it ain't that.
So I thought that was an interesting little meta.
Yeah, kind of meta. Not something they've had to explain before. It's always, well, you'll think I'm crazy because I'm going to say it's a werewolf. No, you're not crazy. We've seen werewolves. No, this was something different.
This isn't a werewolf.
But then they were talking about the fur, and they were like, it was canine fur, and Dean said, but that's bull. Werewolves growing wolf hair, that's a myth.
That's a myth.
Which I'm honestly trying to remember, because it's been a while since we've seen a werewolf episode of Supernatural.
Garth. He's still alive.
Yeah. We need to see him. He needs to be in the next few episodes, right?
I know he was in the episode where Dean was still Michael, and that was like early season 15, yeah?
Oh man. Was that the cage fighting episode?
The Die Hard episode.
Okay. Off track.
Well, they had an episode where it was like Die Hard, that whatever plaza, and
Okay. So yeah, they had that whole conversation. They're like, "What the hell's going on?" And then Mummy rises from a sarcophagus and chokes out a
security guard who, God bless him, man. He called his superior. He was like, did you have something scheduled for delivery? It was just like, and it kind of sounded like you didn't hear what was going on the other side of the phone call, but he sounded like he was like, man, why are you getting upset with me? It was here when I clocked in, and like, I didn't have anything. I'm just doing my job, man.
Just trying to provide for my family.
And then he gets choked out by a mummy.
Yeah. So they investigate that, and they find the sarcophagus is a prop. And they're starting to put the pieces together at that point. And then Dean goes back to hitting on the waitress. And he was late investigating the mummy attack. So he wasn't there to meet her when she got off of work. So she's walking home alone. Gets attacked by Dracula. Who's doing the whole Dracula bit with the cape and the accent.
Mina.
And stuff. And he calls her Mina.
And
Harker.
Harker, yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Hargreaves. I think that's a Stranger Things character. Anyway.
So, Dean fights him off, rips his ear off, and a piece of his costume. And they realize that it's a shapeshifter. So...
Which I low-key forgot about.
Yeah, right? So it's a shapeshifter that is movie obsessed. And kind of a yada yada yada. Chase him around. But it turns out he's like this almost sympathetic kind of a character where he's never been accepted. His father tried to beat him to death with a shovel because he was a freak. And he found refuge in movies.
And of course he would be drawn to the monster movies because that's what he's been called his whole life.
Right.
Anytime he tried to assimilate, he'd get found out. And
which makes his selection of monsters interesting. I mean, Dracula, werewolves... Mummy doesn't really fit the motif, but then he has like his whole Frankenstein scene, but it kind of feeds into the whole misunderstood monster who isn't to blame. It's just doing its thing. Like Dracula, I guess, is pretty predatory, but an argument could be made that he's just trying to be himself. Werewolves are basically victims, right?
Well, yeah.
You get bit, and
unless
then...
you're Fenrir Greyback, and...
Well, yeah.
Then you're just a fucktard.
But... but it's kind of that whole cursed wife thing. And he identifies with that. He's like, I guess that's what I am. These guys, they didn't do anything wrong. They just were called a freak, so that's what I became.
I think it would have been better, instead of the mummy, I think it would have been better to do Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
Frankenstein himself was a dick.
He was a bit of a nut job. I mean, was he a dick? Or he was trying to do something and it didn't work. And
he was trying to play God.
True. And then he actually was kind of a dick to the monster itself when it didn't go the way he wanted.
Yeah.
And so it killed his fiancée. Like you do. So he... and he had the whole Frankenstein, like, scene, which was cool. He didn't have a Frankenstein monster appearance, but
he had the
electric crank and the... Yeah.
Which he never ended up using, which was kind of a disappointment.
Kind of, yeah. I
Except
have
for-
pizza! He was distracted because he ordered pizza without garlic.
Is there garlic? That poor pizza delivery guy, he's like, man, I bet you could have related.
I could relate, but that dude wasn't good at his job. Like, come on. If somebody answers the door dressed as Dracula, play that shit up. You're going to get a good tip if you play it up. And he was just like,
coupon.
I have a coupon. Yeah. Oh well. His loss. So he kind of has a showdown with Dean and ends up getting shot by Mina in a... Well,
Jamie.
Mina. Jamie. In a very iconic sort of monster moving ending.
So the beauty has killed the beast.
Yeah, it was almost like he wanted it to end that way. He got shot, and it was just, he was very poetic about it, and died, and it had that nice little wipeout. Let's see.
And the whole entire episode was in black and white.
Right, the whole thing. And
I kind of thought I remembered that, like, the very final scenes were in color because, you know, the monster movie villain
motif is over.
But no, it was still in black and white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole thing was.
Mandela effect.
Yeah. And I was asking you during the episode if you thought it was shot in black and white. But I don't know if that actually applies, because if it was shot with a digital camera, then it wouldn't matter.
But they pay such close attention to detail that I feel like they would have shot it in black and white.
Yeah.
Even if it was a digital camera.
Because I think shooting in black and white does something different to the contrast and to the lighting. It kind of... Because things don't pop as well when they're not in color, so you have to emphasize colors in a different way with black and white.
And it did a great job of it.
They did. It looked pretty authentic. Like it was shot in older times. But, yeah. And then the movie and then the episode ended with the classic, the end, ... question mark.
Oh, and then there was that one tiny little line when the shapeshifter was talking to Dean, like, you know, doing the villain monologue or whatever. And Dean's like, I'm not a movie.
Right.
Which I thought was... I mean, this was season 4, so I don't even know if the writers knew at that point what they were going to do with Chuck. I don't know. Was Chuck even a thing yet?
Yeah, I think so. I think it...
Right, because Monster at the end of the book was, like, really early season 4.
Yeah.
So they had already met Chuck. So...
And based on our conversation from that episode, when he said there's only one explanation. I'm a god. So we think that they had that line of thinking already in place.
Right. So Dean saying, I'm not a movie, ties in very, very well with his vendetta against Chuck now in season 15. Would, like...
I'm not a story for you to write.
I'm not a hamster in a wheel.
Yeah. Yeah. Dean is a very aggressive proponent of free will.
Mm-hmm. Which makes him much more, I wouldn't even say Catholic or even Christian, but more understanding of
theology.
How God actually is supposed to work.
Right.
How we know that he works.
Which, I mean, yeah, his rebellion against Chuck is completely appropriate based on that. Being like, no, you're not God because you are infringing on free will.
Yeah.
That's not how this is supposed to work. Which I still like the idea that it turns out Chuck isn't actually God. I don't know if I have anything else on that one.
I don't think so.
It's just a fun one-off.
Yep.
Cool.